Cody Alexander, Match Quarters. Today, we're going to be breaking down the technique of DaRon Bland of the Dallas Cowboys. He exploded onto the scene this year with 5 interception touchdowns. That was a new NFL record. He had 9 total on the season. Partially, this is due to the fact that Trevon Diggs, the starting corner for the Cowboys, went down early in the season, and he was thrust into the outside corner role. Teams also went after him. Now, he gives me a lot of Trevon Diggs vibes, like young Trevon Diggs, where we're really aggressive. We have a lot of interceptions, but man, we also get a lot of separation. That we also have games where we give up big plays. I don't think he's a complete corner yet, but we're going to break down his player profile, and then we're going to watch 8 of those 9 interceptions. Before we go any further, let's just make sure that we are on the same page. DaRon Bland is not Trevon Diggs. They are completely different players. Now, they have a lot of the same tools in terms of interceptions and being able to return them. DaRon Bland, again, had just a fantastic year this year. A lot of people were arguing for him to be Defensive Player of the Year just because of the 5 defensive touchdowns that he had off of interceptions. Now, the one thing that you will notice is that his press percentage is much lower than Trevon Diggs. In fact, Trevon Diggs, you could argue, is probably one of the better on-ball corners, meaning that he presses at volume. DaRon Bland actually is an off-ball corner. He plays off. Now, that doesn't mean he can't press. It just means he prefers not to. If you look at his stats and his havoc rates within coverages, you can see he's a top 10 corner in cover 1. He's a top 25 corner in cover 3. Even when the Cowboys did run a little bit of quarters, he was actually pretty good at this. And then in cover 0 behind blitz, you can see that he's in the top 50. So he's in the top third. Where he excels is in what the Cowboys actually do. And that, to me, is one of the things when you look at these havoc rates, you want to see them translate. I'm okay with him not being great in cover 0. I'm okay with him not being a top 25 corner in quarters coverage. Why? Because the Cowboys stay in this area right here. They play cover 1 at volume. They play cover 3 at volume. And their answer or their changeup for teams that kind of get a beat on what they're doing is cover 2. Now, Trevon Diggs transitioned from an on-ball corner to being able to play more zone coverage. I really think DaRon Bland is going to do that as well under Zimmer. Zimmer's going to run a diverse coverage scheme. They're going to run more things other than cover 1 and cover 3. That cover 2 is going to show up, but I think you're going to see he's already relatively good at quarters. Cover 0 really is just kind of either they're playing man match quarters or they are running blitz coverage. And so it's kind of how good are the blitz paths that you're getting and how good the pass rush is in front of it. So really the core 4 that we want to look at is cover 1, cover 2, cover 3, and quarters. And you can see he is a top 30 corner, if not a top 25, top 15 corner in all of those. So he is by far one of the better corners in the NFL and has really transitioned to be that. Does he have room to improve? Yes. If you're going to have 2 elite corners like the Cowboys, you really want to make sure that he is progressing in a way that you saw with Trevon Diggs, where, yeah, we have all these interceptions, but we also have all these busts. And so DaRon Bland this year was kind of like that. There was a large separation between him and receivers a lot of times. A lot of quarterbacks were still targeting him. What that tells you is that teams see that he's making a lot of picks, but at the same time, there's kind of flaws in his games. In fact, when we go and we look at these interceptions, you're going to see a lot of these are on sail routes or deep out routes where the quarterback actually throws behind. DaRon Bland's actually late to the route, and you can see him that he just executes on that and he finishes through. So is there a little bit of luck involved in this? Yes. Turnovers year to year fluctuate violently. So you kind of have this luck, probably going to see his interception numbers go down. The number that you really want to look at here is this first down to touchdown ratio, which is above 40. You want this thing really below 40. You don't want this higher than that. That means on 40% of the passes thrown to him, it results in a first down or a touchdown. You want that number lower. You can see, again, he dominated in cover 3 with a rating way, way low, a 9.8 rating. But everything else, like, you look at cover 0 and you look at quarters, those ratings get a little bit higher. And then he had good ratings in cover 1 and cover 2. What we're looking at right here is a corner that can play man and zone. I think he's a great fit for what Zimmer's going to do. I just want to see a little bit more progression. And let's look at the film so we can kind of back that up. This first clip is a great example of what I'm talking about in terms of a lot of DaRon Bland's interceptions. So Bland is going to be at the top. He's going to be isolated on Cooper Kupp. He has a low safety here. So we're getting a stack by the Rams. We're going to get an out route, and we're going to get Stafford throw the ball late and inside. And this is where I think Bland really excels. And he almost was baiting quarterbacks to do this. So at the top, you can see that we're going to play point, meaning that the low guy is going to take the point man. You can see Bland's technique is really good. He's going to take a pure step outside and get square. He's playing off ball. So he's not the one that's pressing. Again, he does not have a high press rate. You can see that he's flat and he kind of sits here at this stutter. The Rams run a lot of these option routes. You can see that we're getting an outside release here by the receiver. With this vertical stem, Kupp can either go outside or can go inside. He chooses to go outside here just off of leverage of the DB. You can see that Bland is a little bit behind him. Once he breaks, Stafford throws the ball. It's late and inside. You can see Bland is late here. He gets his eyes back. He sees that the ball is going to be late. He's going to pick this off, and then there's no one for him, and he takes this all the way into the end zone. But if we go back to the top, I like his pre-snap. I like the early down footwork. He's going to pure step, shuffle. He plants right here to prime his feet, and then he's just a little bit late. If he really just plants and drives right now to the top shoulder, he still has to work through this. But again, Stafford throws it behind. This is a gift, and a corner does not execute on this. You shouldn't be playing in the NFL, and he executes and takes it to the house. Bland is now playing in the slot. We're going to get a quick out again. So we're going to see another out route that he's going to pick off. So we're watching Bland in the slot. You can see that the Cowboys are playing man coverage. He does a really good job. Once you see this flat angle as a slot defender, you want to press the hip right now. That's exactly what Bland does. You can see that the corner is overlapping on his man. And then we have our safety pressing here and working with his man as well. You can see that we're matched up on top too. So once we get this flat route, you can see that the receiver is going to work vertically, which gets Bland to settle down, and then he's going to attack the top. You see that the quarterback throws it behind, which is a deadly sin for a quarterback on a flat route. And all Bland is going to do is box the receiver out, pick it, and then he's going to take this. So this is another example of an out route attacking the sticks. Bland is able to then get a pick. This is a really nice job of him seeing departure angle, breaking on it, staying flat through, especially when he gets vertical. That to me is the key. He doesn't overrun this. Once the receiver gets vertical, he flattens out. This is going to be catch and carry. Now, remember, we don't have very long for us to go to the sticks. This is a 4th and short. So we know that it's going to be attacking the sticks. It's going to be a quick throw. This is a great job by Bland. Notice how he fights through the receiver to get this ball, boxes him out, knocks him off the route, and then he gets the pick here. So again, a quick out, late on it. This is where Bland gets a little lucky. But again, it's luck, but you still have to execute, and he executes the pick. Bland is now playing in the slot. We're going to get a quick out again. So we're going to see another out route that he's going to pick off. So we're watching Bland in the slot. You can see that the Cowboys are playing man coverage. He does a really good job. Once you see this flat angle as a slot defender, you want to press the hip right now. That's exactly what Bland does. You can see that the corner is overlapping on his man, and then we have our safety pressing here and working with his man as well. You can see that we're matched up on top too. So once we get this flat route, you can see that the receiver is going to work vertically, which gets Bland to settle down, and then he's going to attack the top. You see that the quarterback throws it behind, which is a deadly sin for a quarterback on a flat route. And all Bland is going to do is box the receiver out, pick it, and then he's going to take this. So this is another example of an out route attacking the sticks. Bland is able to then get a pick. This is a really nice job of him seeing departure angle, breaking on it, staying flat through, especially when he gets vertical. That to me is the key. He doesn't overrun this. Once the receiver gets vertical, he flattens out. This is going to be catch and carry. Now, remember, we don't have very long for us to go to the sticks. This is a 4th and short. So we know that it's going to be attacking the sticks. It's going to be a quick throw. This is a great job by Bland. Notice how he fights through the receiver to get this ball, boxes him out, knocks him off the route, and then he gets the pick here. So again, a quick out, late on it. This is where Bland gets a little lucky. But again, it's luck, but you still have to execute, and he executes the pick. Now we're going to get a behind look from Bland. This is inside alignment here. You can see that he's got a slight tilt. I really like this. This is what you want in an off-ball stance. You want the toes in the instep. You want to see a nice slant here. You can see that the shoulders are relatively square, even though that his hips and her feet are angled in. So his vision cone is to the quarterback, but he has direct sight of the receiver, and he can look at how the departure angle is going to come off of. So as we get to the snap, you can see he's going to press, right? He's going to step with that inside foot. You get that pure step inside, and that's going to bring him to square. So he's seeing the snap of the ball. He's going to square up. He's going to then work to this outside release. You can see that Lockett is working vertically, so he's going to work to that outside release. Lockett then rounds this thing off, and he's going to press and work to the outside. So all we're getting right here is basically a 7-yard sail. So he's going to press, run a quick out right here. Bland does a great job. Once he gets to the top shoulder and now he's in control of this route, Lockett cannot go. He's going to get his eyes back. He sees that the ball is late and inside. And again, this is where Bland's going to pick this off. So he boxes out on that receiver. He does an excellent job of really working that low hip and that inside hip and then attacking the ball if this is an underthrown ball. And really, he's taken the angle out of the ball. This is a nice look at a high point ball. So what we see here is the Seattle quarterback's trying to throw this over him, but he's able to attack vertically. And because he owns that inside hip, he's now able to box out that receiver and go get the ball. This is another example, again, of a mid-level quick out sail route where Bland is going to execute on a thrown ball, and he gets the pick. And again, another out route, another pick by Bland. Here we are at home against Washington. We're going to get another sail route for Bland against a stack. So we're going to end up getting these two guys on this stack by the Commanders. We're going to get a sail route. So this will be a little bit of a deeper route. We're watching Bland. This is a good job by him seeing the release outside. Once he sees this vertical release here and a vertical, kind of a little bit of an outside stem here. So we're going to get a little bit of an outside stem and a vertical release here. We know we're not getting any kind of switch because the angle doesn't come early. So what's he going to do? He's going to pierce step and then get flat so that he can collect this route. Now, again, let's look back at what the down and distance is here. This is going to be a 2nd and 10. So we're probably going to try and attack the sticks, especially when we're in 4-down territory. This is essentially another 1st and 10 for the offense. You can see that we get this vertical alignment and we're going to get this sail route. So we get a vertical. So what we're getting really is a corner and a sail, which is just your prototypical bench route. You can see that he's going to look back. He has ownership of the route just because of where the angle is right here. You can see the quarterback is going to throw this behind, and where does Bland fit? Right in, just like a glove, just like we've seen in these previous clips. He's going to take that, and now he's off to the races. All he has to do is beat the quarterback and the running back, and we have another defensive touchdown by Bland. Let's go back to the top. He's going to take that pierce step outside. He's going to stay square, and then because he stays square, he can plant and drive, accelerate on this late thrown ball, and Bland takes this again to the house. So what do you do with an aggressive corner that likes to break on out routes? You run the out and up. So we're going to have Bland here on the bottom. We're going to get this matchup. We're going to see an out and an up, and then the quarterback is going to throw another pick to DaRon Bland. So I like this technique here. We get an off-ball stance. He kind of gets caught walking back, so we're going to get a nice kick step. He's going to pedal at the top of the route, which is really nice. Once he sees that the shoulders turn and we're getting this out route, watch his feet come together, and he's going to shuffle. And then what that is going to allow him to do is really understand is, do I need to buy the out and nail down, or is this thing going to turn up and now I spin and I get in phase with the receiver? You can see that the receiver really doesn't run a great out route. He kind of is a lazy, and this thing climbs almost like a corner. And then you can see he gives like a little bit of a kind of a head look to the sideline. Bland does a good job of staying tight. Notice how he stays tight off of this. He kind of gets that heel click, chop, chop. And then notice how his eyes are down. He's at an open angle. Now we're in our open cross up. Once we get the initial double move. So we've got the out, now we got the up. It's an up all day long. Bland's going to fit right into this hip pocket. Once he gets in control, notice, once he gets in control, that's when he looks back for the ball, and he's going to box out the receiver. Like I always told my DBs on these fade routes and these out and ups is play basketball right here. This is the free throw lane. We're boxing out. We're trying to make a play. We get an underthrown ball by the quarterback, and look who it is. If you underthrow DaRon Bland, he's going to pick it off. This is another example of that. And I just showed you a couple of clips of sail routes where he fits in right behind it. Now we get the out and up compliment from a team that has already played him previously. Give him the sail route, give him the sell and go and attack him downfield. DaRon Bland punishes him. We're going to go back to the Patriots game for this one. You can see we get, again, DaRon Bland gets caught walking back. That's okay. Sometimes corners will just panic and they prop. They'll get their feet wide. They'll throw their hands out. They'll sink down really quickly. I think Bland does a good job of just getting into, once he kind of realizes this, he just gets into a kick step and then he gets into a pedal. He opens up with the receiver. You can see Bourne nailing down on this. And what I like about this is even though we are in our open run, you can see that our feet are together. It's okay to cross over if our feet are kind of on the same plane, that they're staying close together. What we don't want is these big giant steps, and then we have a lot of space in between our front foot and our back foot, because to stop, I got to cross over again, and it just exacerbates the issue as we go downfield. You can see that his feet are really tight, and then his shoulders are actually pointed down to the ground. What that's going to allow him to do is really just hammer that hand down, and then we're going to stop and go. So what, like you can see right here, once we get Bourne to sit down and he plants and drives, we are going to sit down, we're going to plant, and then we're driving back. I like his stance right here. He doesn't relax even though the ball isn't there. So Bourne's sitting here, he's sitting here. Bland is lurking. Notice how he's in his power position. His feet are underneath him. He's able to plant, drive. Mac Jones throws the ball late and inside. Again, something you don't want to do against DaRon Bland. DaRon Bland picks this thing off, and we have another defensive touchdown by DaRon Bland against the Patriots, because what did the quarterback do again? He threw it late and he threw it inside, something you just do not want to do against a good off-ball corner like Bland. Not all of Bland's interceptions were from an out route or a late hitch route. So here we're actually going to get a cruise route or a shallow mesh route, however you want to decide it. So I really like this technique. Again, he's going to play catch coverage. Notice how the receiver's eyes are inside, and notice how his front knee is angled inside as well. That's going to tell Bland that we're getting a mesh route right now, and we're going to go be able to nail down on this. So once we get Mingo going inside, this is called a jet stream technique. This is what you want to do against mesh teams. You actually want to fit inside the guy's jet stream. So I want to get either right here on the high hip so I can undercut, or I want to get right behind so I don't get cut off by a mesh route coming the other way. So here we're going to work down. He sees, once he gets his eyes back, we're going to get another late and inside throw. Where does Bland go? He reaches, picks this thing off. He's going to hit the ground, and then he's going to return this thing for a touchdown. So let's go back to the very beginning. We get a nice kick step chop. We're going to stay pier step inside. We're going to stay flat. Once we see it, we're going to nail down on the hip. I get my eyes back once I feel like I'm in control and I'm about to clear the hash. Notice how we're clearing our backer here, so I know the ball is probably going to come right then. And then Bland is just going to accelerate. The receiver doesn't realize that he's there. He's going to accelerate to the ball and get this thing. This is a nice job. If you really look at it, the receiver, the quarterback actually places the ball relatively well. You would probably prefer that it's a little out front, that the receiver has to actually grab for it, especially when you know you're having tight man coverage by DaRon Bland. Instead, he throws, a 7-on-7 ball or a practice ball, perfect ball right to the chest of the receiver. Bland extends his arms, picks this. He's going to hit and roll, get up, and go score a touchdown. Because he's had so much success kind of undercutting these routes, whether they're an out route or we get this mesh route, it kind of gives you a sense that, oh, I'm kind of invincible. And this can get him into trouble. Here's an example of this against Nacua. So Nacua does a good job of getting into his body. Bland is actually in great position right here. Once he presses vertical, he needs to feel this though. So he's not getting pressed vertically, and then we're going to turn this over. He's kind of just walling him out, almost like, again, like basketball. We're boxing him out. Bland takes a peek back to the quarterback, which is not something you want to do. You want to do this after the break. Because he takes a peek, Nacua is able to then press and then get kind of flat. Bland is assuming again that this ball is going to come, low and inside. So he's going to actually undercut this. Stafford actually throws the ball out in front. Like I said in the beginning, when you have tight coverage, the quarterback actually wants to throw this in front of the receiver, make the receiver go get it. Bland kind of guesses on this. He undercuts it, and Nacua is able to then grab this and get some vertical space. Bland does a good job of getting there, but from the beginning, you kind of get a sense that we're leaning on the guy. I've got to understand that this ball is probably going to cut inside. You can see that we're getting a deep mesh route here. So instead of prepping for that kind of that cut into it, almost kind of like a rounded off dig, he looks back at the quarterback, which makes him late. He then says, I'm going to jump this route. Instead, Stafford throws it in front of the receiver, and which means at the angle that Bland is, he's going to miss this. He's too shallow, but it is a nice job of recovering and then trying to punch the ball out from Nacua. In our last clip, I wanted to illustrate that Bland is actually a really good zone corner. Playing off ball just kind of lends yourself to being a better zone corner. You're not playing press quarters. You're not up there and playing 3 lock all the time, to where it's essentially I'm playing cover 1 all the time. He's going to be off the ball. We're going to get a short motion, and then we're going to actually get a cross country or a Yankee concept. This is a traditional route that a lot of NFL teams run. We're going to get a deep cross with a post route. It's really good against cover 3. You can see that Gilmore here is kind of playing off just to make sure if this thing doesn't come back. Once we get the rounded off of this over route, you can actually see Bland is going to slingshot to the post. The quarterback doesn't expect this. He thinks that he can beat him, and Bland does a really good job of tracking this ball, high pointing it, and going and get it. So this is our 8th pick that we have looked at with Bland, and it comes off of a zone where we're going to play a kind of a rounded off zone. So you can see here, we're actually kind of playing quarters here, and it ends up playing out a lot like cover 3. This would almost be very similar to like a cover 3 weak rotation, putting safety in the buzz. Here's our post player, here's our third, and here's our third. That's why I think quarters has kind of picked up in the NFL. It's even teams like the Cowboys are going to run quarters in different sets because it layers really nicely, and it kind of gives you this ambiguous look where a lot of times the quarterback doesn't really know what's going on. So here he sees quarters. He says, all right, I'm going to buy the safety and I'm going to buy the corner here. Instead, the corner slingshots. We've got the safety beat, the corner. There's no way he can play this post. The problem is the other corner, DaRon Bland, slingshots, high points the ball, and makes a pick. DaRon Bland, along with Sauce Gardner, Stingley, and Emerson of the Browns, have really kind of become the Mount Rushmore of the 2022 draft class. Ironically, outside of Sauce and Stingley, Emerson and DaRon Bland were both in the 4th and the 5th round, respectively. So with the injury of Trevon Diggs, he took advantage of that and really solidified himself as one of the better outside corners in the game. I think when you take a deeper look at his game, you're seeing that he is not just a cover 1 corner like Diggs was a couple years ago, or a trap 2 corner like Diggs has kind of developed into. He's an off-ball corner, which lends itself to playing a lot of zone coverage. That's what Zimmer's going to bring in, a more diverse coverage umbrella and a coverage scheme. I think he's going to thrive underneath of it, and as long as he progresses, we saw Diggs progress from the year that he had 11 interceptions to the following year, and then horribly he gets injured this year. We've seen Trevon Diggs progress. I think we're going to see the same sense in DaRon Bland. I think he's going to have an excellent year under Zimmer, running more of his own scheme. It's going to really feed into what he does really well, which is play off ball. Now, if I'm a quarterback and I throw Leighton inside, I know DaRon Bland's going to be there to pick it off. And I think if you look at his picks, that's kind of the one thing that you want to see, a little bit tighter coverage from him. There's a lot of separation in a lot of these. He gets lucky that the ball is placed kind of either in front of him or behind the receiver where he's able to pick it off. Now, kudos to him to actually going and get the ball. Again, part of football is being productive and actually executing on the play that's in front of you. And he does an excellent job of that. Just, I know that if you dig down deeper than just looking at the box scores, you want to see him progress, come into this next season with a little bit tighter coverage, and really kind of catapult into that stratosphere of a top 10 corner in the NFL, especially one that's going to be a complete corner who can play zone and can play man.